This lecture is going to look at the process of credentialing as it applies to recreation therapy. Credentialing is the process by which an agency grants recognition of compliance with recognized standards to individuals who have met stated qualifications. In other words, it's the process of establishing the qualifications of professionals and assessing their background and legitimacy. The process is generally an objective evaluation of a person's qualifications, training, or experience, and their ability to provide particular services or perform particular procedures. Credentialing programs developed when there is a need to define entry standards and assure compliance with these standards to protect the public, assist employers, and increase credibility of the profession. There are several benefits to credentialing. A few of them that come to the forefront are that it provides that consumers will receive consistent level of professional services. It assures competent and qualified personnel providing those services. It improves recognition by external regulatory agencies, so it helps those agencies understand the profession better and the expectations of that profession. And it promotes professional development, continuing education for individuals within that profession. There are 3 different levels of credentialing, and they all apply to the history and current status of recreation therapy. So we're going to talk about registration, certification, and licensure as they apply to recreation therapy. So the first level of credentialing is registration. This is the lowest level of credentialing. It's a voluntary process typically administered by a professional member organization to maintain a record of those practicing in the field and to encourage attainment of standards. So within recreation therapy, you recall from history that the Council for Advancement of Hospital Recreation was formed in 1953. That was our first credentialing body, and they established a voluntary registration in 1956. NTRS took over that. So NTRS, the National Therapeutic Recreation Society, took over that registration in the late 60s once it was formed. And then for the state of California, we have the California Board of Recreation and Park Certification, which originated in 1954 as part of our state organization, the California Park and Recreation Society, and it established a voluntary registration in California by the 1970s. The second level of credentialing is certification. Certification is when a non-governmental agency or organization grants recognition to a person who has met predetermined qualifications specified by that organization. Certification is a voluntary process, meaning it is usually required by most businesses, but it's not a law. It's not something that's mandated by the government. Certification is run by an independent agency, meaning that it is separate from any professional member organization. We have 2 levels of certification. We have both national and state. So on the national level, we have the National Council for Therapeutic Recreation Certification. NCTRC developed from the registration program that we had beginning in the 1950s, going through the 1970s. So NCTRC was established in the 1980s to take over that registration process and develop a certification process. So NCTRC developed eligibility requirements, examination content, and recertification standards based on an ongoing job analysis. NCTRC does a job analysis about every 7 years to make sure that what we are testing reflects what's happening within the job environment. And the last job analysis was done in 2014, and that is part of your reading for the week. And so NCTRC grants individuals the opportunity to become a certified therapeutic recreation specialist. So the eligibility for a certified therapeutic recreation specialist is the completion of your degree in recreation therapy. Then there is specific recreation therapy and recreation coursework that you have to take. As you know, a minimum of 5 recreation therapy courses and 18 total courses within recreation. Completion of the recreation therapy internship, which requires a minimum 560 hour. So for your 15-week internship, that means you're doing 38 hours per week. NCTRC also specifies that your supervisor within that agency has to be a full-time CTRS, and they have to have had that credential for at least a year before you work under that person. And then your academic advisor also needs to be a CTRS. NCTRC requires support coursework, 18 units total, including anatomy, physiology, abnormal psychology, human growth and development across the lifespan, and then the remaining units to come from human services areas. If you look on the new applicant packet on the NCTRC website, it describes what those other areas could be. So most of you should have already met with me for advising, and we should have gone over all of those different eligibility requirements. If you're still unclear about those requirements and how what you have in your degree plan fits with those requirements, please make sure you're seeing me, because it's really important that you understand those eligibility criteria and how it is that you are meeting those criteria. Once you complete all those eligibility requirements, then you apply to take the certification exam. You can actually apply and take it during your internship or right after your internship so that you can begin immediately to work as a certified therapeutic recreation specialist. Just one note, we've talked about this before, but make sure that you are saving all of your syllabi. If there are any questions about coursework that you've taken on your application, they will ask for your syllabi. And then the NCTRC exam, the first exam was given in 1990. It was a pen and paper exam at that time. It has since moved to a computer-based exam. It is offered 6 times a year, so essentially every other month, and they have a continual application period. So the exam content is based on the job analysis, so based on what's happening within the field and what our job is composed of, that's what you're going to be tested on. And that information about what is included in the exam, what types of questions, that's all on the NCTRC website. There is also a practice exam on the NCTRC website so that you can see the style of questions and the process of taking an exam on a computer. That's all up there and available for you. There's also a great study guide available for the NCTRC exam. So there's lots of ways to prepare yourself for that exam. Once you successfully complete that exam, you are granted the right to use the CTRS title. That title is currently used in all 50 states, in Canada, as well as several other countries. Okay, in the state of California, we have the California Board of Recreation and Park Certification, which under registration we found out was established in the 1950s under CPRS. We moved to a certification process in the 1980s, and CBRPC became an independent organization, so came out from under the shell of CPRS at that time. And just like NCTRC, CBRPC developed eligibility requirements, examination content, and recertification standards based on the job analysis that they had done, as well as consulting with university faculty. So getting this certification allows you to use the title Recreation Therapist Certified. So the eligibility for the Recreation Therapist Certified is, again, completion of the recreation therapy degree, having the recreation and recreation therapy coursework, again, a minimum of 5 recreation therapy courses, completion of the internship, which is right now a 560-hour internship. It will be increasing next year to 600 hours. So for us, that means 15 weeks at 40 hours a week that you would need to do. And then in order to be approved and be eligible for an RTC certification, the site for your internship has to be from the list of approved agencies. If you're interning in California, then you would need to use a CBRPC list of approved agencies. You also need support coursework. One thing that we've talked to most of you about the support coursework for CBRPC is that 14 of those units have to be upper division. So again, I'll stress the importance of connecting your upper division GE to the support coursework requirements, as well as any other courses that you take, making sure that they fulfill that upper division piece. Once you have completed all the eligibility requirements, you again can apply to take this exam. So this exam for the RTC is offered twice a year, usually April and November, and often they also provide it in conjunction with the CPRS conference. It is a written exam given at several locations throughout California, just based on where people are. There is a study guide available on the CBRPC website, and then once you successfully complete this exam, then you are granted the right to use the RTC title. And again, you want to make sure that you are saving all of your syllabi in case there are any questions on the application. We're going to stop there and we'll pick up with recertification on the next part of this lecture.